Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Divine Beehive Lounge. I just noticed that sometimes I say the Divine Lounge, sometimes I say the Beehive Lounge, but who knows? So maybe Divine Beehive Lounge. Anyway, you're gonna find me under one of those names. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about chapter one. So, as you know, I start counting from zero because I have a lot of friends who are engineers. And you know that in math and engineering, there is a lot of weird things going on. And one of them is that they start counting at zero. And I just got so used to it, which is funny, but it makes it very weird for me anytime that I don't start from zero. So yesterday was chapter zero, and today is chapter one. And I was just back, to my letter and wondering, okay, what did I talk about again? Because today I wrote letter number six, chapter six. And funny enough, it's kind of the same thing. And if you ever made content online, you probably noticed that we have a kind of a list, a set of topics that you keep coming back to. And this is one of mine. This is about standards and how it causes ripple effects and how sometimes people don't notice that. We think that things that are not related have nothing to do with each other unless you can find a very clear connection between them. But I don't really believe that. I believe that everything that happens and everything that you put some of yourself into will somehow translate later in life. There is someone who says that, and I won't remember their name right now, but they said that love, however brief, is never wasted. And there is many ways to interpret those words. And the one that I like the most is when things make sense even years after and everything comes together in a beautiful way. There is this film, I think it's Slumdog Millionaire, and it's quite old now, but I remember when it came out. And it was about this guy, and then he goes to this show, and he has a lot of random facts happening in his life. And funny enough, the questions that he gets in the show, like who wants to be a millionaire, all relate somehow to something that happened in his life that looked like it was random at the time. But in the end, everything made sense. Everything was leading him to that moment. And it's really cool to think about that. And ever since, I've been thinking and analyzing and observing how things end up connecting. Also, because not only it's something that I believe happens, but I also believe that if you can do that intentionally, if you can look at your skills and your life and really translate them to whatever you are doing at the moment or whatever new skill or new hobby or whatever you are doing in your life at the moment, I think you can not only save a lot of time, but you can also get really creative and even come up with something new. Because at the end of the day, this is what's going to make you unique, right? Your experience, your life, your path, your background, the way you grew up, where you grew up, the circumstances that made you who you are today. If you, and only you can do that, can connect those dots and create something from that place, it's going to be super special, which, again, very interesting It's exactly the topic I was talking to with my students at the Beehive Online, our Telegram group. Someone asked me about a cultural act. So she has this act which is very related to her culture. And as you know, I've been working on a geisha act because I'm half Japanese. And her question was about how do you deal with comparison? Because how do you deal with thinking, okay, someone is also doing this act and comparing yourself and also in relation to the Asian Burlesque Festival? Because in the lineup, we were all Asian, right? And my point number one was definitely remember that what makes you you is definitely unique. Your job is to connect the dots and of your life. And this point of view is so unique to you. So even in group choreographies, right? We do that all the time here at the studio. I teach the same choreography. Many girls take the same class, and everybody is going to have a different interpretation of that. And this is one of the things I love the most, in fact. Everybody has a different body, a different skill level, a different way of learning. Their bodies respond in a different way. And that's going to transform a movement into something very special that only that person, that body at that time could produce. And this is so incredible. Like the things just don't repeat themselves, which also makes every moment so special and so unique because they don't come back, right? This is another thing I always tell the girls at shows is how special they are, especially live shows. We are very fortunate. We have technology, so we can always film and go back and watch again, which reminds me I still have videos to share from our last show. And sure, but honestly, even if we repeat thing by thing, the exact lineup, the exact place, the exact timing, that show will always be unique. The same when you're performing your act, right? Maybe you're gonna perform an act you have a dozen times, 1,000 times. Every single time is unique because you can never replicate something that happens exactly as it was. And when you think about them, it makes every moment very precious, right? So everything is really connected. So when I go back to my chapter number two, I actually entitled it How to Get a Better Partner. And I kind of wanted to play with this title because it pretty much has nothing to do with that. And at the same time, it has everything to do with that. And I chose partner, but it can be anything because one of the ripple effects that I notice with my women who come to the studio is they just start to elevate their standards. And once you start choosing things for yourself from higher self esteem, whatever was okay before stops being okay. And I feel like many of us just catch ourselves doing those things, and sometimes we don't even notice, right? So maybe, for example, let's say a dinner table, and someone from your family leaves something on the plate, and you decide to just like, okay, let's not throw this away, I'll finish that. But most of us would not offer that to someone. But we feel like it's good enough for us. Or just sometimes I think of my coffee cup. Every day, I pick a new coffee cup. And I wouldn't give someone their coffee cup from the day before that I haven't washed. But sometimes I just look, yeah, it's okay. I can use the cup from yesterday. I don't have to get another one dirty. So that is coming from like, why am am I doing that? Why do I have other people's needs, let's say, just at a higher regard than my own? And it kind of shows in the smallest things, right? It's like it's just a coffee cup. But if you can just sit and really think about those things, what are the things that you wouldn't offer to someone else, or you wouldn't accept for someone else, you wouldn't give someone else, but you are giving to yourself? And I feel like when your standards rise, all of those things also start to rise in small and also in big. So, in the big scheme of things as well. Meaning, many of the women that I see that come, they might not have that high of a standard, but with time, they start to realize, wait, this is not good enough. Wait, there is more out there. And that could be for a partner, that could be for work. I see that happening a lot. Women changing jobs, changing careers because whatever they were was not good enough for them. Even places or friendships or, yeah, really anything. Even choosing to buy something for themselves that they wouldn't before, instead of getting like their cheap version from the shop, they're gonna get that one that they actually want for themselves. So this is actually a ripple effect, like I like to say. And I think that this is the main lesson from chapter number 2. And this is the one thing that also connects with chapter 0 from yesterday. Or if you don't know, it's on my other video written chapter 0. If you haven't watched it, you can still, because now it's going to be on YouTube forever, where I talk about my realization that at the end of the day, I don't really teach burlesque. It is definitely a means and a tool, but the gift is something much bigger than that. And I just wrote about this on my newsletter today as well. So it's really interesting how things start to come, in cycles. And I start to notice what the topics and the themes that I want to work on are. Then I start to mention something that I believe was also something that I mentioned in my today's letter, which is motion comes before feelings. And that's another one of my main topics, I'd like to say. So I think that it all started with something that I call the 10-second rule. And there is many ways you heard that before. Maybe you heard someone saying about the countdown to 5, and then you do things before you can come up with ways or excuses on why you shouldn't do it. There is also, I read it from someone, I didn't invent that, the 10-second rule, which is, 10-minute rule, meaning I will put a timer for 10 minutes to do whatever is the thing that I'm postponing or procrastinating, but I know I should be doing to reach my goals. And I will just do it for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes, I don't want to do that anymore, I count as done and okay, check for the day, I go do whatever I want to do. And I don't even want to say 9 out of 10. I think it's even more. Honestly, I think it's probably 99 out of 100 times you are just going to continue. It's like inertia. It's so hard to get the ball moving. But once the ball is moving, the ball doesn't want to stop moving. And it can be anything from cleaning the house to running. Which brings me to a little story. I used to be a runner, and I hate running. I really do. I really don't enjoy running. Um, and I thought I would one day. So I ran for 2 years, and really, I never got to enjoy it. I got 3 medals. I ran 2 5Ks and 1 10K. And those are our medals for completing, like not, first place or anything like that. If anything, I was probably last. But I finished. I finished. And I remember that I really wanted to do that, for my health, because I know it's like a super cheap exercise. You don't have to pay. You just go and run. And I know that it really, really burns a lot of calories. And I was at that moment in my life was like, I'm feeling so bloated, I want to move more. And I remember that I used this rule, and my routine was pretty much run 2 to 3 times a week. I was using one of those apps, like C25K or something. And I really remember that I think in 2 years, I only stopped once after 10 minutes. And honestly, there wasn't a single time I was looking forward to it. Not a single time. I was every time, like, oh no, it's time for the run. But once I hit the 10 minutes, I could just go on and on and on. So it just works. And then the thing is, again, as kind of a ripple effect from that, as kind of deriving, I hope that's the right word, coming from that, like branching out from this idea, there is the motion and the feeling thing. I don't know why we have this misconception. I think it's just our brains trying to find excuses on why not, why it's okay not to do things. And again, I think it's inertia. We can blame inertia for all of those things. It's so tempting, right, to just say, oh yeah, I'm so tired today. I'll feel more motivated tomorrow, and then tomorrow I'll do it. I'll just wait, like now it's 7:49. I'll just do that at 8 p.m. I'll just give myself another 10 minutes and then I'll do it. And we keep doing that, right, to ourselves. We keep telling ourselves we have to feel good first and then do whatever we think we should be doing. Truth is, that's not the way it works. Truth is, you're gonna feel better afterwards. You're gonna feel better once you get the thing done. You're gonna feel better after you've done the thing for at least 10 minutes. And there is so much that you can do about that. One of the things that I say that's related to burlesque as well is shimmying. So you can always do shimmies, and it's so difficult to not smile while you're shimmying. And once this hits and you start feeling better, you can just go, and it has the whole snowball effect. And then you can just keep going. Like, how many times did you struggle, but you ended up starting to clean your place? And when you realize you were decluttering the whole house. So I'm sure it happened to you. I think we can all relate to this. Yeah. And I do believe as well that we're talking about the microcosmos here, right? But this can also be in the macro. So not micro, but also the macrocosmos. Meaning, once you raise one standard, you start raising the standards for everything else in your life. Little by little, it might happen consciously, so like you're deliberate, you're doing that intentionally. Or maybe you don't even notice you're doing that intentionally. I noticed this for everything. I'll give you an example. I went to a restaurant the other day. It was just a brunch. And the food was Nice. The service, not so much. It was this very kind of, you know, hippie, very chill place, which I know is not my kind of thing. Like I'm a luxury kind of girl, like 5-star hotel, champagne, people serving me. Like that's the kind of thing that I really like. And it's just different, right? Because there is many different types of vibes. And you can go to maybe a bar, like next to the lake here, in Zurich, or a beach bar. And it's this very laid back place, right? So the servers, they are like very natural, and then they come and they're like friendly, and then they talk to you, and it's very chill. And then they go do like prepare your order, and then they come back. And in luxury, there is this very serious and systematic way, right? They, of course, they come, but they have like the specialist, or they have a sommelier, and it's very orderly. They come, and then they maybe take your order, and someone else is going to prepare your order. And then someone else, like the runner, is going to bring your order. And everything is very systematic. It's not so laid back, right? And for the longest time, I didn't even realize that. And as I was there that weekend, I was just thinking, wow, I get the vibe, and of course, nothing against it. And I understand some people like this, but this is not for me. Really not for me. I really like to relax. And in order to feel relaxed, I need to see that the people around me are very professional and know exactly what they're doing. It's not just a summer job for them, something that they're doing to get like the little extra for summer or whatever. The same way I will hire a moving company, and I don't want to hire just the students who are doing that for the extra money. I want to hire a company that knows exactly what they're doing, very professional, their jobs, because that's when I can relax. So I created a different standard for myself. And now I see that so clearly. And it kind of translated to everything. It also translates to the job and the work that I deliver. So if you read my emails, for example, my letters, I chose the background. I choose all my paragraphs to be justified. I choose the type. I choose all of those things, the pictures. And if something is either grainy or, like it's just not up to the standard that I want. And it wasn't the same before. I know that there was a time that I was just happy with anything would do. So, how is that for you? Maybe you can relate. Maybe there is things in your life that you didn't think about before, and now they're actually, very important to you. So, yeah, standards. And that's going back to the topic, and the title. That's how you get a better partner, by kind of noticing, falling in love with yourself, and being just very brave to really get into the person and lean into the person you are, away from the judgment of others, which can be a big thing too. I may hear, people say that maybe I'm high maintenance or something like that. And yeah, maybe I am. And that's okay. That's what I want for myself. That's my life, right? So everybody can get to this point. And I think I even talk, and I saw someone talking about that. There was a moment this was really big, online, talking about a woman being relaxed. I met a lot of different kinds of women in my life, like powerful, anxious, assertive, strong, weak, whatever. But I never met a relaxed woman. And I'm very relaxed, I'm very chill. But it also comes from knowing exactly what my standards are, owning those things. So saying no to things that I know will not meet the standards that I like for myself. So when someone invites me to go to a place that I know I'm not going to enjoy, I'll say no. That's just raising my standards for myself. Um, when I know that someone invites me to an activity I know I won't like, or when someone asks me questions and I choose to be truthful about it, about things that might be unpopular. So, for example, I don't like children. I don't like children at all. It's very public. And at first, I was always afraid because I have a lot of people around me, of course, that like children and have children. And I was always afraid of judgment. Like, wow, but she's a mother, like, and she's maybe my client or she's a friend. And am I going to say to her face that I don't like children? And this is also something that can be seen both ways, right? As an example, I love pets and I love cats. And how do I feel when someone doesn't like them, right? And honestly, I don't care because it's your life, right? It's your choice. So it goes both ways. The same with the boundaries and the no's. I teach so many women, and I don't want to say that I teach, I want to say that I encourage. I encourage so many women to say no, to set those boundaries. And very often I tell them, I am not excluded from that because I am the person who's telling you this. You can say no, and you can say no to me as well. And I hope you do. I hope I create a place, an environment where you feel safe to say no, also to me. That's my ultimate goal. In my studio, for example, my students, most of them go on stage. And if you want to go on stage, you prepare, you come to the classes, I teach you, we talk about costumes and etc. And one of the things that I always want to make sure is it's your choice at the end of the day. It's our joint effort because if I know that someone is not ready, I'll also tell them that it's not the time to go on stage. But I always tell them, look, everything is a can, nothing is a must. And I always ask them, even if they are in the performance troupe, which is a path that leads them to performing on stage, I will go and ask, do you want to perform at this show? And I make it as open as possible because I want them to be able to say no. And fortunately, I think they can, like I don't want them to feel forced. The same with the movement. Every movement is an invitation. Nothing is an obligation. And very interesting, I feel like this, again, the play micro and macro cosmos, right? It may feel very small and just like a point and just a second in time where I'm teaching you in class how to peel a glove and I'm like, and then if you don't want to take it off, you don't have to. And you choose, it's your choice. And funny enough, that is just a little seed that is planted, right? Like, oh, wait, so I don't have to. Like, yeah. And the movement looks like this, but like you can do it slightly different if you want. It's like, oh, so I have options, right? And that seed can grow into other areas of people's lives as well. So, like, wait, I choose whether I want to, take something off or not. I can also choose other things in life. people end up making these connections. Still the same topic. So that's it. That's chapter number 2. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I'm Bunny the Divine, and thank you for coming here and being part of my Divine Beehive Lounge. And I'll see you on my next letter. Bye.